TYT is partnering with Participant Media to help solve the climate crisis. Wouldn't that be great? Now look, you got to check out our series, 10 Days of Action, to learn more about what you can do to make a difference. And go see an inconvenient sequel, Truth to Power, in theaters in New York and LA on July 28th and nationwide August 4th.
Angelina Jolie is under fire for some recent casting decisions on her upcoming Netflix movie. She spoke to Vanity Fair, and a lot of the interview was innocuous, but there was something that is really catching some flair online. Her made-for-Netflix film, First They Killed My Father, tells the story of life under the regime of Cambodian dictator Pol Pot. According to the article, Jolie looked in orphanages, circuses, and slum schools for children who had experienced hardship to audition for the role of Loung Ung, from whose memoir the film is adapted. And now when they were looking to cast this leading role, they set up a game. What sort of a game? Let me tell you. Set up a game disturbing in its realism. They put money on the table and asked the child to think of something she needed the money for, and then for the child to snatch it away. The director would pretend to catch the child, and the child would have to come up with a lie. Stray Mach, the girl ultimately chosen for the part, was the only child that stared at the money for a very, very long time. When she was forced to give it back, she became overwhelmed with emotion. All these different things came flooding back. When she was asked later what the money was for, she said her grandfather had died and they didn't have enough money for a nice funeral. Now, a question that I'm still trying to find the answer to is, if with all the other kids that they tested, did they let them keep the money? Exactly what went down? I haven't been able to find definitive answers to that question. Either way, I think this is pretty cruel. Do you guys agree? Is this just what casting directors do? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
It's like this the Hunger Games Hollywood edition. I talk about this in my stand-up, and a lot of people get really upset with me because people are always lauding her for her being a humanitarian. Even on Twitter, if you look at the response to this, people are like, are you kidding me? There is this disease sometimes that the liberal thinking has, that they're rescuing and saving, those of us that are people of color. Children of color have become like novelties, like handbags and designer dogs in Hollywood. Like everyone has one. It's like this thing. And I'm not saying that everyone is like that. And those people whose intentions are in the right place, but when there's always a camera and this is appalling. This is, you know how hard think about your own traumas as a child, how they stay with you forever. They shape your self-esteem. Things that happen to you when you're a young kid, these kids are under even worse circumstances, and we are snatching money. I mean, I don't even know how this is up for discussion in terms of, is this right or wrong? This is ridiculous, and this is part of that thinking that we're gonna go rescue the people of color. Like we're saving the little children. This white privileged mentality that is so disgusting that sometimes conservatives take an aim at, and this is freaking wrong. It's wrong. I'm sorry. It just made me so angry when I read this. I had to read it over and over again. I'm like, I can't believe this came out of her mouth. And people were like, don't attack her. Attack the producers and the casting. Attack everybody. Anybody who saw this and said that this was okay should be in trouble.
It does make me think there must have been another way to elicit the sort of emotional response to see if a child could go there for the purposes of acting. Because that's the thing, child actors, especially when they're so young, it's really hard to explain that you're acting. You sort of just have to say that you're playing make-believe. Casting can be difficult. And we've seen that in the casting of tons and tons of child actors in the past. This game seems incredibly short-sighted and insensitive given the demographic that they were targeting for this role. There must have been another way, and for someone not to have stepped in and been like, hey, how about not money, and how about we just consider exactly who we're targeting and how we target these kids for this role.
Go get actors. And it's like that Marlon Brando story when they did not tell that woman that he was gonna take it to the next level with the sexual assault, so that to see what her reaction would be in the film. That's cruel. It's just cruel. This is, go ahead, James.
But well, on the other hand though, next time they have to do a casting call based on traumatic incidents, the kids will be prepared. Because they'll have had this one. So no, this of course you're right, Ida. This is a no-brainer. So look, I'll tell you about an amazing, great experiment that a teacher did with good intention in Kansas a long time ago. It's a legendary psychological experiment, but it led to banning experiments with kids for understandable reasons. She did the blue eye, brown eye experiment. So she said, okay, now those of you guys with brown eyes and blue eyes separate. Blue eyes are inferior, I just found out, and brown eyes are superior. And then she tested them, and the brown eyed kids started doing better in school, and the blue eyed kids started doing worse immediately. And the more they lasted, the worse their scores got. And the blue eyed kids started internalizing that they were inferior. And so it was an amazing experiment. And then she switched them, and it worked again, even though it was the same kids. She said, no, it was a mistake. The blue-eyed kids are the superior ones, and the brown-eyed ones are the inferior ones. And again, they internalized it. So it was amazing what we found out about humanity through that experiment, but it traumatized the kids significantly, right? And you're playing with young kids' minds. So we've known this for a long time. You can't do that. And you certainly can't do it for a movie. So, it's a super interesting point you make, Ida, about the kids and Hollywood kind of using them as props in the words that you used. Now, I got more mixed feelings about that, and of course there's people who do adoptions in all different places that mean really, really well. I know a couple that just adopted from Latin America, and that's because the wife was adopted from Latin America. Right. So great, well-meaning people who do that all the time. And still, Angelina Jolie is raising African American kids, Asian kids, and she's spending her whole life with them. So that's a tough question. This one is not a tough question. No, you can't play around with kids and go, but we did hire one of them.
Yeah, and I'm not questioning her motives because I think she loves her children. I just wish she put some lotion on the darker ones, but because they're ashy, and that's not cool, Angelina. But I think that this, this is really, I agree with you, and I think we shouldn't even have these types of discussions. Our humanity should evolve to the place where stuff like this should be preposterous. It's like how in any, and now the girl who got the job, like, okay, you won. What about everybody else? They're all going to be scarred. Yeah, where is the oversight when it comes to production? And what are you valuing? Like the emotional response you can get from this kid on camera, or you also have to value these kids who are from Cambodia, from hard lives, how they're going to internalize that. What are you prioritizing?
Some of the kids were from a Cambodian circus. They don't have easy lives. And look, if you're sitting at home going, what's the big deal, man? I wouldn't have been traumatized by that. Yes, but you're not a kid in a Cambodian circus. You're not however old these young kids were, right? And maybe some of them aren't traumatized, but don't take that chance. If you like this video, you probably like independent media. The best way to support independent media, become a member of the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.